everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amber and this is Fabricating Fringe. You guys, I just did a review on this beautiful wig by Jon Renau. This is Marion, so head on back and check that out. But right now, I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. We are doing a tutorial slash demo of customizing your wigs and removing a little bit of density. As you guys can see here, Marion, she's very light in density. I wouldn't touch this wig because it already has such a beautiful natural density. But if you have a wefted wig that is a little bit too thick for your liking, there are ways and techniques that you can use at home to customize your pieces and remove some of that bulk. And that is what we're going to be talking about in this video. So first things first, how do you determine density? Density is determined by how full your style feels. So when I feel this sleek, shorter Marion wig, the density isn't a lot. It's not so thin that it feels straggly or wefts are showing, but it's just a natural density in my opinion, and I don't think it needs to be thinned at all. Now, there are some wigs out there that are quite thick and people love that. They embrace it, they want that. But if it's something that you are not too fond of, then why not get it customized? Before I move on with anything though, just know if you have any reservations, you're fearful of ruining your wig, definitely take your styles into a professional who does this for a living and have them customize your pieces. Right here, I have the Claire wig. She's pretty full. If I feel this hair compared to Marion, Claire, she has some fullness to her. That also could be the texture. She has more of a wavy, longer look. So why would we remove density from a wefted wig? Why would you do that? It's simply just to personalize your pieces. When you get a wig, you don't have to feel like, okay, well, I'm pulling it out of the box. This is how it is. I have, I can't change it. That's far from the truth. There are ways to make that wig more your own. One thing about the Jon Renau wigs though, since I have two Jon Renau styles right here, they actually use a lighter density on their lace front wigs. So they have a really light density up front, and then it transitions seamlessly into like a medium to light density through the mono crown and the back. And they just believe that that gives the overall appearance of their styles more realism, and I'd have to agree. So a lot of people feel like the darker the hair color, the more dense the wig. That's not very true, but it might appear thicker because of the color absorption. The light absorbing the hair color just makes the whole style appear thicker and fuller. And then it's the opposite for your lighter shades. Just keep that in mind, is your lighter and your darker colors can have the exact same amount of density, yet may appear thicker and fuller depending on what you're looking at. There's a difference in the appearance of density with wefted wigs and fully hand-tied wigs, and that's just the cap construction. With a wefted wig, oftentimes you have permatease to hide those base materials. That's going to make the style look thicker and fuller. You have all of that to just make the whole style and silhouette more appealing, and it helps hide those tracks from those wefts, etc., etc. There's definitely a rhyme and reason for the various cap constructions and what their purposes are for. With a fully hand-tied wig, it may seem lighter in density, and that's because everything is individually hand-tied. You have these individual hairs all throughout the entire cap, so it may not seem as thick and full. So I stated before, I am not going to thin out this Marion. I think she's wonderful, the density that she has. But to show you guys how to remove some of the density on your wigs that you feel are just a tad bit too full for your liking, I'm going to explain it using this beautiful style, Claire. Now, before I get started, I'm going to give you guys a few tips on thinning out your own wigs. First of all, use only thinning shears. If you don't know what thinning shears are, this is what they look like. You have one side with the blade shear, and then the other side, and I'm probably not using the proper technical terms for these. At one point I did know all this because I went to beauty school and had to take tests, but This is quite embarrassing. On this side, you have more of the combs, and this makes it so that you're not just cutting a chunk off. You are, you know, leaving little bits of hair in between each of those combs. Another thing that is very nice to have when you are going to customize your wigs, whether that be steaming, trimming, thinning, is having a blockhead. That way you can pin your style into place with your T-pins, and whether you have a stand or a clamp, which I have, that can attach to a table, this keeps everything anchored down so you can have control over what you are doing. And lastly, the tip that I'm going to give you before we get started is less is more. You can always take more off, but if you go hog wild, once you start cutting, you can't put that hair back on. Overcutting can really change the entire silhouette and look of your style. So be mindful of that. Take a little at a time, take your time, and you know, just go for it. So I'm going to set up my work area and then we will start thinning away. Okay, you guys, I am going to place Claire on my blockhead. I started this video before it was time to actually use these thinning shears because I wanted to point out a few things. When you are putting your wig on your blockhead, you want to make sure these pins do not go into any of your delicate base materials, such as your lace front, your mono top, and if you're working on a topper, you don't want to puncture any silk tops or you know, mono tops on there as well. Definitely try to pin in your velvet ear tab areas, and then at the nape, go ahead and pin where you have that velvet down at the nape. I don't know why they call it velvet, because to me it feels more like felt, but that's what it's described as, is your velvet ear tabs and nape. Now you can see that this here Claire wig is very full. I love her. I love the fullness on this wig. So I'm not going to take much off, but I'm going to take enough off that you guys can easily see how it's done. So I'm going to section her out right around the parietal ridge area, and you want to leave out the perimeter as well, so these front edges. So I sectioned out about 1 inch away from the hairline, and I made sure to have the area where the monofilament is up here and parted away. Now, if you look closely at this Claire wig, you see that even along these wefts, you have a slight amount of permatease. I don't know if you guys can see up close. I'll try to do a close-up, but here's a little bit of cool information when it comes to permatease. Permatease is created by using a hot comb when the wig is in production, and back combing the hair up, and the style setting like that. So most of you guys know these beautiful wavy, curly, any kind of style that you have in synthetic fiber is essentially baked into that fiber. Well, the permatease is too, with a hot comb. And anyway, I just had to throw that information out there because I didn't realize that Claire had this bit of permatease right up along the wefts even. And that just gives this style that fullness that people are looking for. But like I said, if it's a little bit too full for you guys, there are ways to either thin out. You can actually even steam out some permatease as well. But just know that permatease, there's a purpose for permatease, and oftentimes it gives each style the silhouette and beautiful look that it has. So first you want to section out the row that you'd like to start cutting on. So you'll start off by taking one section on one of your wefts from connection point to connection point. you can see below, there's a connection point right there, and there's a connection point right there. So you'll take your section that you see right here. It's not a whole lot of hair, but all together it does create this beautiful thick style. Using your thinning shears with your serrated edge on the bottom, your blade on the top, you will place your shear right up to that base material. Now you don't want to cut the base material, so be mindful of that, but you do want to go right up to it so that you don't create little tiny pokey hairs once you remove some of that hair. So I'm going to go up there, close, open, remove, you can kind of see some hair. Take your comb and then comb out the hair that was thinned. You can see that right here, like so. And then you'll continue in a brick lay pattern to remove the amount of density that you want gone. So you'll skip the next section. We did this section right here, so we'll skip this section and we'll move to this section right here. You'll always skip the one in between. Because you saw doing that one little snip, it actually did remove quite a bit of hair. See that? That is quite a bit of hair from one little snip. Use your comb, remove what's remaining, and then move along. So just did that one, not that one, that one, not that one. I'll do this one. By doing a brick lay pattern and skipping over one, every other one, it really just distributes the density being removed so that your finished product is nice and even. Now, when you're all done with this row, you'll pick up that row along with the row below it. So you don't want to remove density on two rows right next to each other. You will remove the one you just thinned out and the full row right below it and get started removing density on the following row. I hope that makes sense. So I removed the row that I worked on and then a full row right underneath that, exposing the third row that I will then remove density on in a brick lay pattern every other. By removing a whole row and not removing density on that row, that just ensures so you don't create any holes when removing hair. When you are removing the hair, make sure you take a look at your style, step away, look at the density so as to not take too much. If it still has too much, continue on with your work until you get to your desired density. So I'm going to go ahead and do every other section to remove the density along this next layer. I think that's plenty for me, and it gives you guys an idea of exactly what to do when you want to thin out your wefted wigs. She is still quite thick and full because that's just the way Claire is. She has that little bit of permatease along the wefts, and oh, I just love this style. I did do a review on this Pretty Claire wig, so if you want to head back and check that out, there's more details on this style and the color. And like I stated, I did a review on this one as well. This one is the Marion in Palm Springs Blonde. If this was helpful for you guys, let me know. Give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you guys would like more education and more tutorials on my YouTube and Instagram, just let me know. Comment below. If you have any questions, comment below or reach out to me via email or DM on Instagram, and I'll try to get to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye!